At first, they just watch a sideways glance when you stay quiet too long, a twitch in their brow when you don't react the way you used to. Then the question comes, and why are you different? But then your silence becomes a red flag. No more tears, no more outbursts, no more fear. You've changed, and they know this isn't your weakest moment. This is when you become the most dangerous because you've seen the truth. And narcissists don't survive exposure, they sense it like animals sensing threat in the wind. And when you dare to look them in the eye, not with love, not with fear, but with clarity. But the game ends, not for you, for them. And that's when they become their most dangerous in this video. I'm not just telling you what happens when a narcissist realizes you see through them. I'm giving you the psychological map to never fall for it again, because once the mask slips, they'll try everything. Fake, vulnerability, victim acts, threats, twisted logic just to pull you back. If you're near that moment or already in it, you need to watch this, hit subscribe, because this isn't just another insight, it's your warning the moment you see the truth. You're no longer their lover. You become the threat because a narcissist's entire identity isn't built on reality, is built on illusions. They carefully construct to control others. They play roles, the perfect parent, the selfless partner, the charming spouse, but those are just masks. And once you see the face behind the mask, they know you're no longer buying the act. You're no longer willing to play your part in their story. That terrifies them. At this point, they don't need you to love them. They need you to fear them, or at least doubt yourself long enough for them to reel you back in. They start to erupt, but it's not emotional chaos, it's calculated warfare. They target the places they know you're most vulnerable, guilt abandonment, your fear of being unlovable. They whisper the same lines that used to make you shrink. You're just being too sensitive, you're imagining things. I was only trying to help you. Always twist things. This isn't accidental, this is deliberate strategy. They know exactly what hurts you. What makes you second guess this is what has made you stay in the past. And now they're using all of it against you when you go silent. They rage when you stop reacting. They fake remorse when you stop hurting. They do whatever they can to make you hurt again, because if they can't make you love them, they'll try to make you fear them. If they can't control you with sweetness, they'll weaponize intimidation. But here's what you need to understand. None of this is happening because you still matter to them. It's because you now threaten their ego. Seeing the truth unplugs you from their supply. You stop reacting. You stop submitting, and for a narcissist, that's a kind of death without control. They unravel, but before they unravel, they escalate. You might see them doing things they never did before, crying, apologizing, promising therapy, planning a future, maybe even proposing suddenly sounding so reasonable. You start to question your instincts. Don't be fooled. This isn't healing. This is the final Hoover, the last desperate illusion. A carefully crafted lie with one goal to make you hesitate, to make you second guesses. To make you delay the exit, you need to take. And if you go back even once the game resets, but this time they'll play smarter, softer, and more dangerously. The truth is, you've already scared them. You're not the weak one they thought you were. You no longer fit the role of their submissive victim. And that makes you, in their eyes, the most dangerous person in the room. You might believe that going silent, pulling away, or standing your ground will make them back off, that if you stop reacting, stop crying, stop pleading, they'll just let go. But to a narcissist, losing control over you isn't closure. It's a declaration of war, because control isn't just something they like having. It's something they need to survive when you step out of the game. You don't just hurt their feelings, you threaten the very structure of their false identity, and they'll do whatever it takes to get it back. This is when you'll see them become better, softer, more self-aware, but don't be fooled. They haven't changed. They've upgraded their strategy. Gone are the screaming matches, the open insults, the blatant threats. Now the manipulation comes dressed in regret, love, and emotional vulnerability. And their first, most effective weapon is this fake remorse you may have once dreamed of. This moment, the moment they'd finally look you in the eyes and say, "I was wrong." And suddenly they do. They reach out, send long messages, maybe even cry. I know I hurt you. I can't lose you. I've already booked therapy. I want to change. They say exactly what you always wish they would. And for a moment, just one moment, something inside you softens because after everything, after all the chaos and pain, part of you still wants to believe. And that's the trap. What you're hearing isn't coming from their heart. It's not the result of self-awareness. It's a move, a performance, carefully timed, precisely calculated, released only when they sense that their grip on you is slipping. What they're trying to rescue is not the relationship, it's their power. Not because they love you, but because they fear losing their supply. You see, to a narcissist, you were never truly a partner. You were a mirror, a resource, a way for them to validate their worth, feed their ego, and exert control. And when that mirror begins to crack, when you stop reflecting the image they want, they don't self-reflect. They panic, so they go into damage control, but not by healing, by manipulating their apologies. Don't come with changed behavior. Their tears don't come with long-term effort. Their promises don't come with accountability. They don't apologize to fix themselves. They apologize to buy time. Time for you to pause, to hesitate, to question if leaving is really the right thing. Because if they can get you to stop moving even for a second, they believe they can pull you right back in. And then once you start to relax, once you breathe a little and think, maybe this time is different, you'll feel it, that slow, familiar shift, that eerie return of the person you thought was gone. Because the truth is, they never left. They just wore a new mask long enough to reel you back in. And once you're back in their world, the cycle resets. This time it's colder and more calculated and far harder to escape. And if fake remorse doesn't shake, you don't assume they'll walk away. On the contrary, that's exactly when the narcissist turns up the heat and switches to a more deceptive, more psychologically invasive attack. Because when tears stop working and promises lose their shine, they pivot. They flip the script and cast themselves as the victim. This tactic isn't just another performance. It's one of the most emotionally manipulative strategies in their entire arsenal, especially effective against people with deep empathy and compassion. You'll start to hear things like, "I'm human too. I have feelings, you know. I tried my best, but you always criticize me. Everything I did was out of love for you, and this is how you repay me." Suddenly, the one who caused the pain is crying for sympathy. The one who broke you is now broken. And you, the one who finally found your strength, are made to feel like the cold, heartless one. Not because you did anything wrong, but because they know you still care. They know you're the kind of person who tries to understand, who believes people deserve second chances, who feels guilty just for standing your ground. And they will use that empathy, that very goodness in you, against you. The victim reversal tactic isn't just about gaining sympathy. It's about blurring the lines between abuser and abused until you're not even sure who hurt whom anymore. And once that line is blurred, the real danger begins. Because then you start to ask yourself, was I too harsh? Maybe I'm not being fair if he's hurting too. Then maybe I'm wrong. That moment of doubt is exactly what they're waiting for, because the second you hesitate, the door cracks open and they slip right back in. They may even spin elaborate stories to make you feel like you were the one who destroyed the relationship. They might go to your friends, your family, painting you as the cold one, the abuser, the one who gave up. Not only does this isolate you, it gives them a new audience to control. Some narcissists will go further. They'll weaponize their own pain. I was abused too, you know. My last partner hurt me so badly. I'm still healing. No one ever understood me the way you do, and suddenly your suffering becomes a footnote while their narrative takes center stage. They don't want to be held accountable. They want to be pied. But here's what you need to remember. You can have compassion without being a casualty. You can understand someone without enabling them. You can recognize someone's pain without making it your job to fix them. This reversal tactic is dangerous because it doesn't target your mind, it targets your heart. It plays on your integrity, your kindness, your willingness to believe in redemption. And if you don't recognize it for what it is, you may find yourself falling back into the old dynamic. Not because you trust them again, but because you feel guilty for leaving in the next section. We'll dive into how to set and maintain emotional boundaries when they start flipping the narrative and painting you as the villain, and how to protect your peace when your empathy becomes their weapon. You no longer fall for their fake apologies when the tears don't soften you. When you stay firm and refuse to return, the narcissist doesn't retreat. They just change tactics. They stop using obvious power plays and switch to something far more dangerous. They try to make you feel guilty for walking away. And in this phase, if you're not prepared, you won't go back out of love. You'll go back out of guilt. This is the moment you need to be most clear-headed, because they'll now begin to manipulate your emotions by flipping the roles. You're no longer the victim in their story. They become the one who's been hurt, abandoned, misunderstood, and everything you've done to protect yourself suddenly becomes an act of cruelty. You didn't walk away because you were strong. You left, they say, because you were cold. And the heartbreaking truth is part of you might start to believe that. Because you're someone with a tender heart, you once loved them deeply. And when you've loved someone, it's easy to get manipulated through your own compassion. You start asking yourself, was I too harsh? Maybe I'm overreacting. Am I abandoning someone who's still in pain? These questions aren't wrong, but they're being aimed in the wrong direction. They created the wound, and now they're using that same wound to shame you for leaving. How do you hold your boundaries in the middle of this emotional storm? How do you stay rooted in your truth, even when it feels like the world is telling you? First, you have to anchor yourself in your own reality before they rewrite the story for you. And no, not just mentally, tangibly write things down. Keep a journal. Remember the moments when your chest felt like it would cave in the nights. You cried silently in bed, wondering why love hurts so much, because the narcissist will try to fog your memory. They'll downplay the abuse. They'll say, it wasn't that bad, that you misunderstood, that they were just trying. You need to be able to look back and remind yourself, no, I lived this. I remember it happened, and it hurt. Your truth doesn't need their approval to matter second. You need to refuse to engage the way they want you to. Don't argue, don't explain, don't try to convince them that you're not the bad guy, because you don't need their validation to protect your worth. And you will never win a debate with someone who manipulates logic to stay in control. You're not in a conversation, you're in a psychological trap. So don't try to out-talk them. Just observe. Watch how they suddenly cry after you've gone silent. How they repeat back your own words to twist your emotions. How they create endless loops of circular logic once you recognize the pattern. You stop getting pulled into it, and when you refuse to dance the same old dance, they feel the emptiness. Because narcissists don't know how to handle indifference. They expect conflict, they expect you to cry, scream, plead. That's how they measure their power, but when you go quiet, when you hold the line, you become untouchable. Still, the hardest part might be this refusing to feel guilty for protecting yourself. They'll call you heartless. You're unreasonable, but you are not cruel for choosing peace. You're not selfish for saying enough. You are not broken for walking away. Forgiveness doesn't mean understanding someone's pain, doesn't mean sacrificing yourself to heal them. You have every right to protect your energy. You have every right to rebuild your boundaries. You have every right to save yourself, even if they call that abandonment. Maybe one day you'll need to say it out loud. Not for them, but for you. I don't hate you. But I can't keep living in this pain. I'm walking away. Not because I'm weak, but because I'm finally strong enough to stop fighting for something that only breaks me. Boundaries are not walls that block love. They are bridges that lead you back to peace. And holding those boundaries doesn't mean you stop loving them. It means you've started loving yourself more. They don't love you anymore. They've hurt you. Deliberately, repeatedly, you've seen the games they play to keep you close. The fate remorse, the reversed victimhood, deep down that they are a manipulator. So why does your heart still reach for them? Why in your quietest moments does it still ache? Why do you still cry? Not because you want to go back, but because you don't know who you are without them. It's not because you're weak, and it's not because you still love them. It's because you're still stuck in something called a trauma bond. Trauma bonding isn't love. It's not born from mutual care or emotional safety. It's a psychological chain forged in chaos fear and a cycle of punishment and reward that has trained your brain to confuse pain with connection. You've been pulled into a cycle where every time they hurt you, you fight harder to save the relationship. Every time they pull away, you try to love them better. To bring them back, you're not in love with the person anymore. You've become addicted to the feeling of being chosen again after they discard you. And that's why walking away still hurts. Even after the truth is clear, this is something people on the outside rarely understand. They say things like, "How much of your life are you? Do you still miss them?" You get it, because you're not just leaving a person, you're leaving behind a belief system that was conditioned into you over time and breaking free from that. System takes tools, time, and most of all, self-compassion. The first step to breaking a trauma bond is to see it clearly. You have to name it for what it is. I don't love him anymore. I'm addicted to the validation of being rechosen by someone who repeatedly hurt me. Only when you stop romanticizing the relationship. Only when you stop waiting for a redemptive ending from someone who has no intention of changing. And your mind start to break free. Don't romanticize the good moments. Their tenderness doesn't erase the cruelty. Their hugs don't undo. The humiliation love doesn't make you question your worth. Every single day, say it out loud. Say it often every time the nostalgia creeps in. Remind yourself that wasn't love. That was survival next. You must begin the painful but essential process of rebuilding your identity. The narcissist didn't just take your time, your energy. They took pieces of who you were. You used to know yourself. You used to have dreams, preferences, confidence. But after so long with them, you became someone who lived to keep the peace, to manage their moods, to avoid being abandoned. And now, with them gone, you feel empty. Not because you need them, but because you need to relearn how to live as yourself. So start small. What do you enjoy doing when they're not around? What did you used to dream about before you met them? When did you last feel proud of who you were? Write it down, then try even for 5 minutes a day. Bit by bit, you'll reclaim what was yours all along then. And this is crucial. Build a support system around you. You can't do this alone, not when your nervous system is still wired for trauma. You need people who see you, who get it, who won't judge you for still missing someone who hurt you. Find a therapist, join a support group, surround yourself with people who are also healing. Because when you hear others say, "Me too," you'll finally remember, you're not crazy, you're not alone, you're not weak, you're healing. Remember this: having emotions for your abuser doesn't make you broken, it makes you human. But your strength isn't measured by forgetting them. Your strength is shown in the moment you feel it all and still choose not to go back. You may still think about them, but you don't answer their calls. You may still ache, but you don't lower your boundaries. You may still love them, but now you love yourself more. No one teaches you how to walk away from a relationship you gave your soul to, but you're learning step by step, breath by breath. And most importantly, you're walking toward freedom. You don't need to wait for an apology from them after everything they've done to you. I understand there are moments when all you want is validation to be told that you're not crazy, that the pain you experienced was real, that you deserve to hear someone say, "I'm sorry." But with a narcissist, that moment will never come, not because you're not worthy of it, but because they lack the courage to face their own guilt. You wait for a simple phrase, "I'm sorry I hurt you," but instead you're met with cold silence or worse, blame. "If you hadn't pushed me, I wouldn't have acted that way." They don't own their mistakes, they rewrite the narrative, and in their story, they're always the victim. This is a painful truth, but you need to hear it. You will never get the movie scene ending. There will be no moment where they break down in tears, realize they were wrong, wrap you in their arms and say, "I messed up." That moment doesn't exist, not because you're not good enough, but because they are incapable of taking responsibility. Forgiveness will not come from them. Forgiveness, if it comes at all, has to come from you. Not because they deserve it, but because you deserve freedom. Because when you wait for an apology from the one who shattered you, You're still giving them power over your mind. You're still waiting for them to give you permission to heal. And that's exactly what keeps you stuck. But you can live without that apology. You can rise strong even if they never admit to any of their wrongs. Because you don't need their permission to recover. They are not the gatekeepers of your peace. And here's the miracle. The moment you stop waiting for their apology, you reclaim control. You are no longer the one waiting at the door. You are the one walking out of it saying, I will not spend another day in the emotional prison you built for me. You don't need them to understand you. You don't need them to love you the right way so that you can finally love yourself. All you need is to realize that you deserve more. And that begins the moment you stop seeking validation from someone who will never give it. They will never come to you and say, I'm truly sorry for what I did. They won't text you an apology in the middle of the night. There's no perfect closure. There's only you sitting in the ruins of what once felt like a beautiful dream. Choosing to stand up, you've spent too long. Waiting for them to change. Waiting for them to see your worth. Waiting for a miracle, but now you're not the one waiting anymore. You are the one taking action. Every tear you shed, every moment you felt not enough. All of it is proof that you tried, but now is the time to stop trying for them and start trying for you. Start with small steps. Rewrite the story in your own voice. Healing doesn't need permission from the one who hurt you. Recovery is the declaration that even if you never apologize, I will still live a life worth living. No apology can heal you the way your own choice can. The choice to not let the past define the future. The choice to not spend one more day hoping that the person who broke you is also the one who will save you. You don't need that. You saved yourself the moment you decided to walk away. You are saving yourself right now just by reading these words and thinking, I've had enough. And yes, you have had enough. Now is the time to heal. Not through their apology, but through forgiving yourself for staying too long, through the love you once gave them now. It's time to give it to yourself. No one else is going to walk in and say you deserve kind love. So you be the one to say it to yourself every morning, every night, until you believe it's true. And when that moment comes, that apology you once longed for won't matter anymore. Eventually, you'll realize this. You don't need the narcissist to admit anything because the most powerful thing you've reclaimed is yourself when you see the truth. And stop making excuses for it. You take away every bit of control they ever had over you. They will panic. They will lash out. But that chaos, that's no longer your battle. That's them unraveling because you finally woke up. They no longer own your emotions. They no longer twist your love. They no longer get to write your story. And when all their weapons fall apart, you'll see the truth behind their mask. They were never as powerful as you thought. You were just too kind to see it sooner. But now you know better. And you're not going back. If you're walking this road, if you're still healing, but finally breathing again, don't stop now. Keep going. Keep choosing yourself. Keep rewriting your story with truth, courage, and love that starts from within. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. Because every video I make isn't just about exposing the pain. It's about helping you rise from it for good. You are worthy. You've always been worthy. And this time, no one gets to make you forget that.